Hey, I'm Matthew. I'm the co-founder of Whalesync, and today I'm going to show you how to sync data between Webflow and Airtable. Whalesync makes it really easy to two-way sync data across the tools you use, like Airtable, Webflow, Notion, Postgres, and Bubble. And what I want to show you is how to create a blog using Webflow as a front end and Airtable as a back end. Whalesync will let you do this really easily. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little smaller. And what we'll do just before jumping into the setup flow is just take a look at what we are trying to sync, right? So imagine you've got a Webflow site like this, right? It has a place to add blog posts here, but no data in it yet, no blogs. Over on the Airtable side, we have the blogs we want to sync. So you'll notice here a blog post table with 5 blog posts, some images, post body, summary, even linked records over to a category and authors table, right? So a couple categories, a couple authors. What we'll do over in Whalesync is first connect to Airtable and Webflow. Then we're going to map the data that we want to sync from Airtable to Webflow. And then finally, we'll turn syncing on and watch all the magic happen. So let's go ahead and create new. That's going to kick off the setup flow. The first thing we need to do is go ahead and pick the app we want to sync. So let's do it. I'll hit authorize. What Airtable needs to get connected is just the API key and a base sharing link. So if we come to our Airtable base, we can grab that API key from the account page here and paste it in. Back over on the base, if you hit this little share button and then share publicly, we can easily grab this base sharing link. And once we hit authorize, we are connected. So we'll save that. Now, same idea with Webflow. It's actually even easier here. We'll go ahead and click authorize. We want to sync to the My Blog site, so we'll pick that one, authorize again, and there we go. My Blog, save connection, we're done. So Airtable Webflow connected, step 1 complete. Step 2, now once we've connected our two tools, we actually need to tell Whalesync what data we want to sync from Airtable to Webflow or vice versa. So I mentioned that authors, blog posting categories tables, those are all going to show up here. Over in Webflow, I mentioned that we don't have any data, but we do have our collections. And so if you're familiar with how Webflow CMS collections work, you basically just create them with this little button, and they are basically mirroring what we have over in Airtable. So we've got the same tables and the same fields that are ready to receive the data that's in Airtable, right? So name, slug, images, reference fields, etc. So if we exit out of this, we come back over to Whalesync, this should start to make a lot of sense. We've got authors and authors, blog posts and blog posts. Those are the tables that we want to sync. If we ever wanted to add a new table, we can do this here, add a new table, choose new ones, but again, we've mapped all the tables we want. So we'll exit out of that and continue on. So let's go ahead and map those fields. Whalesync will map those tables together, and the last step here will be just mapping the individual fields. So for that authors table, for example, we want to make sure that the name in Airtable syncs to the name in Webflow. Same idea for blog posts, right? All these different fields that we talked about, all you need to do is just map them from the dropdown. What you'll probably notice also is that I haven't been doing these mappings manually, and that's because these names match exactly, right? So Whalesync has something called auto mapping, which is if you name those fields the same in Airtable and Webflow, we will just map the data for you, right? That way you don't have to do it yourself. But if you ever wanted to add new fields, again, that didn't match exactly in terms of the name, you can just click add new field and add it manually. And then finally, another thing to just show here is if you don't map something that Webflow or Airtable needs, we'll tell you ahead of time. So over in Webflow, they require a name field in order for syncing to actually work in their CMS. And so there is no name field yet. Whalesync warns you, we can just add that name field like so. And there we go. Name is all set up, we've got descriptions, we're all ready to go. Let's save this space. And we're done. That took a couple minutes. You have now data in Airtable and Webflow that are ready to be synced. If we hit this little toggle over here and check this box, we can turn syncing on and data will start syncing immediately. So this right here gives you a little insight into what's happening. Whalesync is initializing the sync. It's starting to see new records that need to come through. And as they sync, this will start to count. While this is syncing, we can take a look at the logs page, right? And this is basically a page that's constantly showing data that Whalesync is making updates on, right? So authors, blog post categories, these are all getting created in Webflow from Airtable. If we come back over to the dashboard, okay, we're all done. We can come back over to Webflow. Again, no items found before. If we refresh this page, all of a sudden, something exciting will happen. And there we go. Blog posts are here. They've been synced over from Airtable. And again, these are showing up in the CMS. So essentially what we've done is we've taken the Airtable base and we've mirrored it with this Webflow base or Webflow CMS. And now anytime I create records in Airtable or Webflow, it'll sync to the other immediately. So maybe let's try that right now. So if we go ahead and hit new blog post and we try this blog post was created in Webflow, exclamation, and let's publish that over in Webflow. This of course appears here. If we come back over to Airtable and we go back to our blog post page, boom, instantly we have a 6th blog post, this one created in Webflow. So that's it. That's the basics. That's how you set up a sync between Airtable and Webflow with Whalesync. If you want to set up a sync with different tools, you'll follow the same exact steps by creating new and just picking different apps like Notion, Postgres, Bubble. So I hope you found that helpful. Really excited to get you started. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the team. And I hope you enjoy Whalesync.